Yeah. Oh, this is like a thin papery thing.
That's rice paper.
Probably
Probably a form of rice paper.
Rice
No.
paper? You can eat it.
paper?
Rice paper is expansive.
I
You
thought
can
it
buy
was
your own.
hot.
I have
It's
some at home.
expensive. It's
I
expensive.
thought it was like that.
Yeah.
I love fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just
Wait, when
Got
did you see it?
sound,
a shadow.
all right?
Oh, yeah.
And if you need to go back and forth, just tilt and
And
tilt.
so you're
Okay?
actually like a cleansing thing before you.
It's like
Well-
to clean out your insides.
That's too much.
That's what I
I don't
got.
know. It's just like a health
Okay.
thing
Okay.
that you do like.
So we
like,
can zoom in.
nuts and stuff. I don't know.
Where are you zooming?
Oh, yeah,
Right
did
here.
you say like the nut and fruit and
Oh, okay.
yogurt diet or something?
Yeah.
I
And
put
it's
this
so
in your
hungry.
phone?
Yeah. Oh, she said
No.
it. She was like,
Patrick?
this
No?
cat look.
No.
This cat food looks really good.
So it's basically
She sounds something like that. I wasn't there,
tilt,
but her mom was
turn
like,
is
Jay, you
really what
said
it
cat
is.
food looks good, or somebody said
Just leave it in
it.
one
But
spot.
See, before I met Gail, probably the semester before I met Gail, because we had to get serious about teaching and we couldn't travel or anything. But I actually studied abroad in Japan for a semester. It was about this time of year. It was a spring semester, so it started in January and it went through the end of May. And while I was there, I took quite a few Japanese speaking and writing classes. So I do know how to speak polite Japanese. It used to be intermediate, but after not speaking for 6 years, it's down back to polite. But I can still read it a little bit. Like I looked at your notebook and I can read what you wrote, and I don't know who you are, but it's good so far. Your self-study of Japanese.
Who wrote Japanese? You did? Okay, that's Shanna.
Shanna. And if you want to know how to say things in a sentence, the way the Japanese do, I can tell you how to do that. Anyway, today's demonstration will be the bamboo brush painting. I will show you the different techniques. And Mrs. Young has been so nice to print out 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 different versions of other artists' style. It's kind of between this section
move
right
that.
here.
sorry.
I thought they might be a snack.
Yeah. Is there food in there?
No.
And the ones on the very end, those are actual pictures of bamboo, so you can see the difference. Mrs. Young, would you like to hold up one of them?
Sure.
Any of them? One of them? And we can compare that with one of the actual paintings. For those of you art club members, would you like to say something about compare them as far as differences? You can say anything. There are some similarities too. You can say comparisons or similarities. Anyone like to respond?
More they look the same.
They
And
they look very similar, but what's different about them?
well, the painting
Uh-huh.
has, like Chandler said, a lot of leaves in one spot.
I like that observation. Yes, the paintings are actually artistic renditions, so they're not, most of the time the artists don't look at a bunch of bamboo outside when they are painting. They're just doing it using the specific forms and making it as artistic as possible. These leaves that are in bunches like that, they always do that in like a cascading bunch, so that was a good observation. It's so that it looks nice on the paper, really. It's not going to look like this, because this here would be a crazy composition. It would be all over the place. So they're not going to copy exactly what they see. They want to make it.
So that nature doesn't do the rule of thirds.
Yeah.
for the composition.
Yeah. So
I learned something from my class yesterday. So
Oh,
she's
okay.
applying it now here.
Okay. So they're going to put their composition into what they're seeing. My painting down over there on the rice paper is very crinkly because I brought it home with me when I came from Japan. I kind of crunched on the bottom of my suitcase. It's starting to fade a little bit. That paper was white 6 years ago, but now it's kind of yellowish tinged.
Nice thin rice paper too.
Yeah, that rice paper they had in
Probably
my sumi-e studio when I was in Japan, that has a rough side on one side and a smooth side on the other. And,
Did it on the smooth?
Yeah, I preferred using the smooth side for that. That's a landscape painting. It's a little different than what we're doing today, but I figured I'd just bring it so you could see what you would do after you went through the different forms. But bamboo is the very first form that you learn, so that's what I'm going to show you today. I have some other things. These are the supplies. All you need is some watercolor. I'm going to show you with black watercolor, and then I'm going to show you with an addition of green and black together, just for a variation. These are my brushes from Japan. These are the ones that I used when I made like that landscape painting or any of the other paintings I made when I was there. But I'm also going to be using the fabulous ones that you have in that box. There's also large and thin ones, and that's going to be extremely helpful to make different things. And a cup of water. I also brought this in to show you, but I'm not going to use it today because I don't have the pulpy red stuff to make my signature with. But this is a signature stamp, and they call those in Japanese hankos. And most people would put their signature down. They'd put like their name. My name doesn't really translate into Japanese that well. My name is, well, my first name's Danielle, and it sounds like Danieru. And I could have put it on there, but I wanted to be really artsy and special. So I made a stamp that says Sudomo no Toki, which translates, it's kind of a bad translation. My roommate told me later that it wasn't right, and I was like, tell me after I carved this. But it was supposed to mean child of the moon because I was born as in July, in a Cancer zodiac sign. So that's where that was from. I didn't carve in deep enough the first time I did it, so after about 10 paintings, it was no longer legible. So I had to carve back into it. So this is definitely a more permanent stamp than, say, linoleum, I would say.
So you guys, I don't know if you can see it, but if you look at any Japanese print, any art in Japan is going to have, see the little red thing at the bottom corner? You'll see, that's what she's talking about. That's their stamp. So it'll have their signature, the artist's signature. Let me see if I can find one that's bigger.
Sometimes I also have scrolling down either
the Japanese writing.
Probably usually
Right
the right side.
Tiny one.
They usually have the date, when they made it. They might have more than just their signature. They might have it listed as a series of whatever the series is called. I'm not going to use this, but I'll sign my name in Japanese off to the side, so we'll know it's mine. Okay, I'm going to start the demonstration. I guess I'll use the big paper because Mrs. Young said that I could use the big paper.
Oh yeah, we've got tons of paper here.
I'm going to say though that when you start, you should have two papers like this, one for testing the brush and the other one for just trying out the techniques. And then when you feel like you're ready to delve into the big paper and try it, go for it. Okay? So, is that on?
Mm.
Oh, fabulous. Okay. I will learn how to edit later. So I've tested a little bit here. The first stroke that you start off with is the trunk of the bamboo. And that is called the bone stroke. You want to have your nice big brush. One other thing that I have done is I've taken, I've used some water here in the watercolor, and I've separated it into two different wells. This one is slightly darker, this one's a light gray. You might have heard the term values before in art class. I just created different values. That's what you want to do. You want to create like 2 or 3. Okay.
So that's not in the well with your paint. That's a separate well than where your paint is, right?
Yeah, I'm just adding a little bit more black.
So you put some water in there and you added some paint color to it.
Yeah. So let me just check the color and see if it's what I want it to be. That works. So I'm going to use that, and then I'm going to put that on my brush, and then I'm going to put a little tiny bit of black on the tip. And then when I hold my brush, I'm not going to use my wrist for this part. I'm going to hold it like this. I'm going to put my full arm into it to the best of my abilities. The motion is down, right, up, down, right, up, down, right, up, down, right, up. If you notice, how much pressure do you think I am putting on this brush?
Looks like a good amount.
Yeah.
Looks like you're pressing pretty hard there.
Yes, I am pressing pretty hard.
You go the same way both times?
Yes, and I even overlap them too. Now, you notice the brush is like looking unhappy.
I
It's
always tell my
okay.
kids not to do that to the brushes.
Yeah, most art teachers say don't do this, but when
Don't
it comes
smush the
to
brush.
Japanese brush painting, it's kind of essential, actually. You can break the rules for this process. So you're making them, some of them are going up, some of them are going sideways. I'm going to try to film, I won't film my entire paper because if I look at all of my other examples, they only have like 3 or 4 branches tops. So maybe I'll stop here. What you can do then is you can go back with the small brush and you can make the little things between the bone strokes. You're going to use a thin brush for that, and you're also going to use the darkest black that you can muster with this. And then you're going to do a similar down, right, up, but it looks like a happy face. So if I show you, it'd be like down, right, up. What kind of pressure am I putting on my brush for this? That part. Very light, yes, very light.
Now, is that going in the same place where you did your right? You went down, right?
I did it on
Or
an
is it-
angle. It's essentially the same stroke, but with way different pressure.
But I mean, where you're placing it. Are you placing it in a particular spot, or you just randomly?
I'm placing it between my bone strokes.
Okay,
So I did one and then stop, one, stop, one.
between.
Yeah. As far as the leaves are concerned, you can use either the big brush or the small brush. I'm going to use the small brush, and it's also going to be as dark as you can make it. So you might need a lot on your brush. The leaves usually come in sets of 5. So if you can't remember, look at your hand, okay? You kind of go.
So thick, thin.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to get the pure point on the end there. My brush is telling me that I'm out of practice. But you want to try to use the very tip there. And see how it's drying, like kind of darker gray? I really want it to be really black, so I might just end up going back to the box over there and getting a new brush for that. But how it was in those, they're kind of like cascading down this way, and you can do that with your,
This one?
yeah. They're kind of cascading down that way. You can make yours cascade down that way. If you say, well, I kind of want to add another piece of bamboo, I can do that too. I can go back and add more. The great thing about watercolor is that it dries very quickly. Did you notice I just did another bone stroke set over this and it didn't mess it up? So that's to your advantage. Another thing you can do is you can do these small little things that come off the bamboo when they meet each other. And they're just like little curlicues. Another thing you can do, I haven't had the opportunity to use big paper in a while. That's why I'm like excited and confused at the same time, because I've been working on paper this size for such a long time that I've never gotten to use my big brush for a really long time. And this is what Mrs. Young has, and every other art teacher has probably told you never, ever, ever to do. Well, okay, so to make the grass at the bottom, like the one seen there, you do this to your brush.
How do you do that for dry brush?
Yeah, it's like a dry brush technique.
Yeah.
So you know, you can go back and add that. I have a little something under
Yeah,
there.
you need to, yeah, we'll tell them about paper.
Yeah. But you ideally want to add more leaves. I only have 2 sets there. I should probably have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe like 7 more. I can even I can even overlap them if I want. I kind of do 3 in the middle first and then 2 on the edge. Sometimes you can make them kind of wide, sometimes they're small. It's up to you. You're learning the technique. Haven't done it for a while on a nice big paper, so. I'm gonna bring it down, they can overlap. You know, that sort of thing. And I might put them all the way down here too, just to keep it going. Another slight technique is also there is some green watercolor to choose from. What you can do for that, I'll just give a smaller demonstration on a smaller piece of paper.
Do you want to be doing that?
Yeah, you can try this first, and then if you want to do the green, you can, again, use the big brush for the trunk. It's got some gray still on it, and that's fine. It is a little too small, but that's okay.
More big paper.
Yeah, yeah. And then for the leaves, you could do a combination of black and green, and maybe just black if you wanted to. That looks kind of cool and different. Or you could just go pure black. This one's not really making the nice little edges. See, if you look at carefully, the tip's like pronged, and you don't really want that. You want it to be nice and like a tip. And it's still doing that. Maybe if I put
That
more
must be one of
water
our brushes.
on. It is.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. You have to put some more water on it. Doesn't work so well for the dry brush, but if you want to try a variation with some green, you can do that too. Any questions? Any comments?
It's really cool.
Okay, so you want to you want to do like 3 or 4 of these today, and then try doing a big one.
Ronnie, show you the question.
It's only like black, green, and gray.
For bamboo,
the building, could you see Ms. Tedeschi up in the science planning office, please? Mike Greenwood, if you're still in the building, could you go to the science planning department to see Ms. Tedeschi, please?
for bamboo itself, it's usually just black, gray, and green. But when you get into other forms like plum blossom or cherry blossom or chrysanthemum, daffodil, all those forms, you get to add more colors.
Ronisha wants hot pink and purple. Right, honey?
Sure.
So
Yeah,
that's a good
typically it's green
question.
and black.
Actually, with a lot of landscape paintings, they might only have 1 or 2 things colored out of the whole painting, and it might be something like a temple or a bridge or something that they really want you to find. It's like a Where's Waldo. Look at this. So, any other questions? There's plenty of stuff to look at. Yes.
You can show us to make a blossom thing.
The blossoms? Why don't we practice this first? Because this is the simplest thing.
This is the first step where everyone starts.
And then we'll get complicated, a little more
What is a
complicated. We can
blossom?
move up, we can stop, if we get the hang of it, we'll stop and do the blossoms. Just so you guys know, we've got, let me just show you the materials that we have. Okay, everyone needs to take one of these, put on their desk. Okay, because we're probably gonna get messy. This is a large paper, but I think we're gonna practice small first. So here's your small paper. You can take a big brush and a small brush each. The water containers are under the sink over there, and then the paint palettes are on the counter. Okay? Have fun.